everybody, and welcome back to Welcome Grove Homestead. We are in the middle of a project day today, continuing on a project that we started actually in our previous video that you guys saw, which was a solid wall in my milk room for the goats. We are adding to that wall because I am introducing a mineral buffet. I'm so excited. So this is actually something I've wanted to do for a couple of years. And now that we have like a larger goat herd, it's more justifiable because it was really hard to be convincing in my argument when I only had 2 goats. But now I've got a larger herd. I've got 9 does now. And so we're gonna switch them over to a mineral buffet, which I will totally nerd out on in a little bit in this video. But right now we are working on building it. So let's cut to that first.
Look at how beautiful this is.
It is freaking
awesome.
Gorgeous. I'm so excited. But we have tall goats and we have short goats.
Yes, we do.
That makes it challenging for the short goats to eat out of here. So we need to figure out what size step stool they need. I have 2 different sizes of cinder blocks that came with our property here. So we need to know which height we need to put in here for them. So we're going to take our shortest goat, which is Arwen. She's our shortest Nigerian dwarf. She's not fully grown yet, but she's our shortest goat. So if we get something that works for her, it will work for all the Nigerians. So we're gonna go get her and we're gonna measure and see. Now, how do you get a goat to step up there and know that it's high enough? Put a cookie in the feeder. So there's some cookies in here for her to find and eat by using these cinder blocks, and whichever height is better for her, that's the height that we're gonna put for this entire row. I'm gonna go get her now. Those are not for you!
It works!
Oh my gosh.
There's a cookie in this one too.
Maybe you should tell them what kind of cookies those are.
These are crack cookies. No, they're animal crackers. Perfect. Can you get some more?
No!
Why? I just ate them. Mommy's scientific experiment's gonna be ruined.
You're stealing my results. Ooh, oh boy. Come on. Come on. Come on.
A little short. Got throat choke there.
She's trying real hard though.
There's a cookie in there.
That's a whole cookie.
That's
in
pretty
there.
good.
Goodness.
Yeah.
She likes that one.
Alright, ready? Come on, look. Look, there's it over here. So let me finish. Oh yeah.
Is that better?
A little better. Her throat's not pressing up on the edge of the bowl.
Alright, so full-size cinder blocks it is.
Alright.
That was deeply scientific, and Arwen approves.
Yes.
Does that count as animal testing? Animal tested and approved?
But she's adorable. It's goat tested.
Goat tested.
Hey, the
She
roof
gives
is
it
leaking
2
right
thumbs
there.
up. Wait. 2 toes up. Yes.
Look at that man. Out in the pouring rain, getting cinder blocks for my goats. If that's not love, I don't know what is. Hey, sweetie. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we're gonna have to solve some drainage issues, but I don't think that's a project for today.
So, Amanda, just taking those stickers off now, huh?
Yeah.
Audrey, helping out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks good.
It's so pretty.
I'm looking forward to seeing those minerals get put in and really understanding them better. So.
It's like the most organized thing we've done for the animals like ever. It's so pretty.
Well, you're gonna have to tell everyone about those minerals.
Yes. All right, everybody, it is nerd time. These are all of the minerals that we are putting in our mineral feeders. Now, Anybody who is sharp-eyed is going to see that there are actually 19 bags here, not 20, and that is because they do not supply just the regular plain old salt. So it's our job to supply the actual salt, or sodium chloride, if you will. And everything else is in these little 1 pound bags. Now you're going to be thinking 1 pound is not going to go very far of any one of those things. But basically this is a sampler pack for us to figure out and identify what minerals they consume the most of, and we can buy larger amounts of those minerals instead of buying giant bags of every single mineral and then having them eat such a small amount that you like never get through the bag. This is the sampler pack that I got from Little Avalon Farms. I think that it's really well done, it's clearly labeled, and it's going to enable us to really assess what our goats need and move forward from there. But since this is a nerding out session, I thought that it might be fun to look at each of these minerals and kind of go over why are they important? Why do they need each of these things? Now, I did some research, and unfortunately a lot of these are a little harder to find, like what is the purpose of this mineral's role. Instead, you end up getting a list of symptoms of when the goats are deficient in those minerals. So some of them you're able to deduce kind of what they're for just based on what the symptoms are for a deficiency, and some of them not so much. I'm sure that if I was able to do a really deep dive, I might be able to track down what each mineral does in the body, but at this current juncture I don't have that kind of time. So just my quick little nerd session here is going to just give us a little bit of insight as to why we use these, or what we're avoiding by giving them these minerals. So the very first one here in the list, and these are alphabetical by their elemental symbols, their chemical symbols. So even though they may alphabetically appear earlier in the alphabet or later based on the name, it's the chemical symbol that I'm going off of, because that's how they will be labeled in my mineral feeder. So we're going to start with boron, which is first, whether you go alphabetically by name or by chemical symbol. But boron is BO, and boron is critical for joint health. So it's going to help, people will frequently see that goats that are deficient in boron will have creaking and popping in their joints when they walk. Next is the calcium. Calcium, I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory. Most people know that calcium is good for bone health, but calcium is also good for muscle function. Milk fever, when you look at dairy animals specifically, most specifically in cows, but calcium is important because when too much calcium is being leached from the body, it can actually cause the heart to stop beating, because that calcium is so important for muscle contractions. It is what keeps their heart beating. So if they're deficient in calcium, you have a serious problem. Calcium is something that needs to be balanced with phosphorus, which we will get to in a little bit, maybe when we get to phosphorus. So keep that in mind when we come back to it. Calcium and phosphorus need to be balanced. After calcium, we have vitamins C and B, and those are important for immune health, keeping your animals healthy. B vitamins are especially important, especially when you're looking at thiamine, which is one of the B vitamins. That is something that when a goat is deficient in thiamine, they get what is called goat polio, which is a neurological issue. And so B vitamins, very important that they stay balanced on. So after the C and B vitamins, we have an alkaline neutralizer. Now also in this lineup, we have an acid neutralizer. And those are important because everything that we or an animal ingest has a pH level, whether it be alkaline, acid, or neutral. The pH of an animal's rumen or stomach is important. They need that rumen pH to be about neutral, which is at a pH level of 7. Acid is going to be below that, alkaline is going to be above that. So you just want to make sure that they stay balanced for their rumen health, and that is what those neutralizers are for. So that if they eat a little too much of any one thing, they are able to counteract that by eating one of the neutralizers. So after the alkaline neutralizer, we have cobalt, which is important for the synthesis of B12. So there's a lot of things that when we eat them, or when our goats eat them, certain aspects of their diet are going to activate other aspects. So their cobalt needs to be balanced in order for them to metabolize B12. If they have a cobalt deficiency, they cannot absorb B12. So that is one of those things that they are dependent on, just to make sure that they are able to absorb and use the vitamins that they're eating. After cobalt, we have copper. Copper is a very important mineral for goats. It is very important that you do not give copper to sheep. Copper is something that goats need in their diet, and unfortunately a lot of North American soil is deficient in copper. So we have to supplement it, and a lot of symptoms of copper deficiency is going to be, they'll get what's called fishtail, which is basically their tail hair will fall out on the very tip of their tail, so it kind of fans out and looks like a fish's tail. If you have black goats, if they are copper deficient, they will start looking more of a rusty red color. They're going to lose that pigmentation in their black fur. And you're also going to see brittle hair when they are copper deficient. So it's going to be rough, it's going to break, they're going to just kind of look a little rough. So copper is super important. After copper, we have iodine, which is important for thyroid function. Goats that are deficient in iodine can end up with, it's called an iodine goiter. So they get this big lump on their throat, and they need iodine in order to treat it. Now, you can supplement a goat with iodine when they are deficient by spraying an iodine solution on the bald part under their tail. Basically, there's a network of blood vessels there that can absorb that iodine. However, they are very easy to overdose on iodine, which can be very dangerous. So if we're able to keep them balanced in the first place and not have to do that, that's even better. So after iodine is potassium. Potassium is very important for muscles. It's important for muscle contraction, for muscle use, muscle health. After potassium, we have magnesium. Magnesium is important for kidney health and for their milk production as well. So you want to make sure that they stay balanced in magnesium. After magnesium, we have manganese, which is important for the fertility of the animals, as well as their leg growth and development and health. So if you have an animal that is deficient in manganese, you might see lower conception rates, or even decreased libido in bucks, so they're less interested in breeding. So that's a really important one for breeders, especially, that their goats are well balanced. So after our manganese, we have molybdenum. Now, I did not know that molybdenum, that's a hard one to say, is something that has to be in balance with copper, because if a goat has too much molybdenum, it will actually bind to the copper and the animal will not be able to absorb the copper. But you do have to make sure that they still have it. So it's going to be important for their milk production, it's going to be important for pregnancy, maintaining pregnancy. Molybdenum is important to have, but not too much. So after our molybdenum, we have sodium, which all things need sodium to live. It's just part of what we need. It helps with our electrolyte balance. It helps with our bodily functions. After the sodium is where we have our acid neutralizer, which we talked about back here when we had the alkaline neutralizer. It's just this far down in the line because it's going to be marked with an OH. Right, so after our neutralizer, we're going to have our phosphorus. Now, if you'll remember that I mentioned phosphorus back here when I mentioned calcium. Calcium and phosphorus need to be balanced in a 2 parts calcium or 2.5 parts calcium to 1 part phosphorus. The reason for that is that too much phosphorus in a goat's diet will cause urinary calculi. If you don't know what that means, it's basically crystals will form in their urine and it can cause urinary issues. So it's especially prevalent in male goats, but honestly the same balance applies for does. It's just that does, you see fewer problems because they have a larger urethra, because they don't have boy parts, and so they don't get plugged up like male goats do. But it is still important to make sure that they have that balance so that they can stay good and healthy. Okay, so after phosphorus, we have sulfur. Now, sulfur is one that they need, but again, you don't want to do too much. You really don't want to do too much of any one of these things. But if you have a goat that is getting too much sulfur, they're going to drool a lot, and it actually will bind iron and copper, so they're not able to absorb either one of those. And then after our sulfur, we have selenium. Selenium is very important for muscle growth and development. Oftentimes you're going to see when kids are having issues, it's called like floppy kid syndrome. They're weak, they can't stand, they're wobbly, their legs start going in weird directions. It's frequently because they're selenium deficient. So if we have plenty of selenium available for pregnant does, we are hoping to avoid those selenium issues in the babies. So after selenium, we have silicon, and silicon is important in connective tissue, specifically bone and cartilage. It's going to, again, help with those creaky knees. It's going to help with leg health in general with your goats. After silicon, we have vitamins A, D, and E, which gets marked with a V4. And I mean, everybody knows that vitamins are important, but vitamin A is good for their intestinal health. It's good for their hair coat. It's good for their vision, their fertility, and their disease prevention. So vitamin A is really important. Vitamin D is really good for, again, their legs. Legs are very important when it comes to livestock. But an animal that is deficient in vitamin D will get what's called rickets, which is where their joints will start to bow out and they're going to kind of get more of a bulldog appearance. So you really want to make sure that, especially with growing kids, you don't want them to be deficient in vitamin D. Now the last mineral in our lineup here is zinc, and zinc is important for the synthesis of proteins and DNA and cell division. Now when you have an animal that is deficient in zinc, you're going to see drooling, they're going to have deformed hoof growth, stiff joints, they're going to have stiff skin issues, hair issues. There's just going to be a host of issues when you have zinc deficiency in your animals. So every one of these things is important. All of your minerals are very important. And honestly, most mixed minerals are going to do okay, especially for things that goats need trace amounts of minerals in. But you want to make sure that they are balanced in everything that they have. We don't want our goats to be deficient in anything, and we also don't want them to be overdosed on anything. Now that we have officially nerded out on all of our minerals, what they are, and kind of what their significance is, now we get to put them in the feeders, and I'm so excited! There we go, they're all in. Well, all except for the regular salt, because I don't actually have that on hand. So I'll pick some of that up and put it in, but we decided to just put that one on the end because the regular plain old salt is going to be the least expensive out of any of these, and it's the closest one to the elements, so if it gets wet, it's not a big deal. So we're going to put that one there, and the rest of them are all alphabetical. It's so pretty. Now we're going to let the goats in and see which ones they go for.
Yeah.
Alright, release the goats! They found straight like, what? Woo! And there's Clover, who wants a little bit of everything. No one can have it, it's mine! Woo! And they're knocking into the camera. Wow, they're really going for the boron. Happy goats. Wow, look at them go.
They're so excited to have their food.
Wow, I did not expect that much excitement at the boron. Huh. Well, it looks like I may be buying some boron. Oh, there we go. Oh dear, did we get some up our nose, Nestle? Now this, of course, is their initial excitement, so we're going to have to let them kind of get used to it and get less excited about it, and then they'll settle in and really eat what they need. But they're definitely excited.
Want some zinc? Want some zinc? Jane says, yes, please, to zinc. Arvin and Jane say, yes, please.
The boron is really interesting. All of them really went nuts on the boron first. Alright, so I would say the mineral buffet is a definite hit. Now, I'm really surprised at how much attention the boron is getting. Apparently, the goats really needed some boron. They went straight for it. They all clustered around it, and even now, we still have some goats that are still going for it. A little bit going to the calcium, but I mean, a lot of attention on the boron. But I'm super excited. We're gonna get past their initial excitement and exploring everything and, you know, doing their goat things where they investigate. And then they're going to really settle in and start consuming the things that they need. And I think we're gonna really get a full picture of their health. Hi, Molly. Molly's standing up on me. But, so yeah, super exciting. I cannot wait to see what the results are going to be of this and start seeing the changes. I mean, you can even see on, Jane especially that she's got that fishtail. Arwen has, she like always has a little bit of a fishtail, but because her hair grows funky. So yeah, I really want to see if this is going to significantly help, because I have been having issues with copper deficiency in the goats since I got here. I've been bolusing the Nigerians and it just never seems to really be getting any better. So I'm hoping that this mineral buffet is going to solve those issues. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us on this little project and nerding out with me. So as always, this is your country nerd with a goat herd saying that you can grow where you're planted.